give people a little time to get in. Let's see here. Uh, there it goes. Here it comes. There it goes. There we
Hmm.
go. All right, let me just tag you and
And then I
then
can pass that link on, right?
yeah, yeah. I mean, you can depends on where you want to go with it. Oh, wait a minute. It's not oh yeah, it is. Boom. Okay. They stopped me from tagging people yesterday. Uh
You must have been doing
let's see.
something right.
Let's see. That's exactly right. Post more links. Delete your link to finish posting. Oh, they're making me get verified. Okay. So you'll have to go to the because I can't do that right now.
That's fine. You just tell me what
Um
to do or send it to me in writing. And
well,
somehow,
no, you just go to the Facebook page and click share and share it
oh,
to
which,
and share it
okay,
to
after
yeah.
we're done with, to your Todd Swology page.
Yeah, no, just
Okay,
Todd. Yeah, on the
test
Todd
that. Okay.
page. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
put it on the other pages too, but you're
yeah.
better off
Okay,
doing
thank
it
you.
from the. Yeah, now I realize why they won't let me share links, and they want me to be verified. So I guess that's kind of like the whole digital agenda,
Oh
bullshit.
yeah,
But I guess that's what it is. It is what it is.
right.
All right, so let me just double check, make sure we're on YouTube, make sure that that one got off all right, and it looks like it did, and so we'll start there. Okay, all right, so let's get started. All right, first show of the day. We got an old
Woo!
we, we got an old friend in the house,
Uh,
Maria Bethencourt, and
mhm.
it's probably been what 4 years? Is that what
Uh,
you're saying? I think.
yeah, fall of
Yeah.
21, and then I think once before that or twice. I don't. You
Oh
know
yeah,
what?
yeah, yeah. I think we did 3 or 4 shows together.
Yeah, it was
So
lifetimes ago.
no shit, right?
Holy
So
smokes! How many times have you died since?
since when? 4 years ago?
The
God.
2021.
Oh geez, man. I don't even know. It's been a crazy ride. I know
Oh
that.
my,
And
yes.
it's getting real interesting. And this is a real interesting time, is what,
Hmm.
I mean, I'm having just massive energy going through my body
Yes.
since about the 7th or the 8th of the month, but it's really picked up in the last week, and
Hmm.
we're 2 days away in the northern hemisphere from the Three-Eye Atlas being
Oh
closest to the
yeah.
Earth, and we're what 5 to 6 days away from the solstice,
Hmm.
and that's the
And
21st or 22nd, depending on where you're at. And then
yeah.
the 23rd's a Master Day. It's a 44 day. So I think it's gonna it's going to be a pretty. I'm feeling the energy. I think it's going to be pretty intense. I don't mean
Hmm.
in a heavy way, but I still look for some things to be happening in the external world as they try to continue with the false flag frequencies and the fuckery and all that stuff. But
Yeah.
that's not really what we're concerning ourselves with. And I notice more and more people that I'm talking to are unplugging from all that stuff,
Yeah. we're
and
we're
really,
already we're already ahead, like we're already in it, like it's not for us, it's not, we're not where we were. That's the past.
yeah,
And all
true,
the symptoms that come with that, and we're not really forward because many of us are from the forward.
yeah.
So we are planted right in this present, which of course is where all our power is, and where we fully begin to open up all the little yummies and all the activations and the DNA strands and blah 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 blah, and every single one of us really as a collective are all doing the exact same thing. We're just expressing it in our authentic ways.
Yeah.
But really, there's a common denominator to every show you do, and I know you've
Yeah.
seen it, and it's, we're all heading in the right way. We are a collective.
Yeah.
We are unified in the heart, and we're going somewhere.
Or we're already here, maybe. I don't know.
Right, we just have to wait for the matrix to catch up, right? The hologram to catch up
Yeah,
to
yeah.
us,
Yeah.
to our energy frequency and vibration, because I never really understood before. For me, I completely understand what you're saying, because the downloads and activations and DNA activations. I can tell you, I as just as a quick catch up, I had a spontaneous spiritual awakening on August 25th, 2011, in preparation for the 1111 portal. I am a grid worker of a volunteer soul, and I'd activated it catalyst my starseed awakening. And so by the time we went through the 12 21 12, I was in it, and I can tell you that compared to that, these energies are off the charts. And I thought those energies were off the charts. But yeah, it really, we are energetically being almost shoved through as one. It's like we can. I'm seeing a lot of, and a lot of people are having like a very birth kind of experience. Like they're feeling the compression. They feel like they're being born. They're moving. One of the signs, when we speak quantum mechanics and quantum physics, we know that when you quantum jump, when you are actually on a new path, there is a location move. And everybody seems to be on the move. They're starting to align to their ley lines and where they're supposed to be for the new Earth Collective. And it's a beautiful thing, but at the same time, it's, I've written it. It's beautiful. It's heaven and it's hell. You never know what you're gonna. It's like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're gonna get that day. Are you gonna be crying all day and just completely, oh my goodness, because you're transmuting for the collective, or are you, singing songs and up in the hemisphere, or it's just it's everything. It's all quantum entangled. We're experiencing all of it together. It's so really, I am constantly amazed at the process. And now the sun, of course, the logos, the father son energy is coming down, and we've connected to mother, and so she's coming up, and it's right in our heart. We're going doing, and we're activating all the high chakras, from 8 to 22, which is what I have been absolutely focusing all my attention on assisting those that are ready to move on to the next phase. Because we all talk about the chakra system, but what happens when you exit the crown? Like, what happens when you expand beyond that octave and level of consciousness? Where do you go? Well, you go to the next level, right? Because we expand we keep expanding. And I'm just fascinated by how it's expressing itself, and I can see it in all the different kinds of people around me. And it really is a divine process, and it's not that it's both light and dark, but it's all for it's all, we're not victims. We it's happening for us, we are the way showers, right? We're the light bearers. We're the flame that is activating in the collective, so we can continue. There's a reason we're, spiritual beings having a physical experience. We're souls, right? And we're eternal. I mean, so if we're eternal, then we must know how to continue to eternity. And that's exactly what is happening right now. And it's just, it's a beautiful thing, but it's also, it's a collective thing, but it's also a solitary path. It can be, as we can't always be with our twin flames, and people have always over romanticized that step, right? They think, oh, da, da, da. But the reality is, when you have the flames coming together in whichever way, whether they're divine masculine, divine feminine, or two divine feminines or two divine masculines, we can't always be with the ones that we wish we could be with, because that's what grid work is. That's what we've been called into service, to assist all of humanity, and it's quite intense. And I just, some days I'm great, and some days, I just want to grab a bat and just start smashing things, and let that flame, that rage that I feel, that the collective is feeling. And I'm so blessed that I'm able to discern what is mine and what is not, and what's my job, right? And it's a beautiful process, and I know that everybody's tired of hearing we're almost there, but these stargates and portals and the star seeds that are activating the second level of their chakra system, right? The 8 through 22, and we have the Sophia codes that are coming in for immortality, and we have the Eshua, the Jesus codes, um, for the males, and it's all so much. But also there's this level of peace and acceptance. And we're no longer really, I feel, releasing as much as we're surrendering. Like we finally, are starting to realize that really, just like we were told, there isn't anything we need to do. We just need to be our authentic selves. And, and being human is messy. It can get, rather animalistic, and at the same rather angelic. And then, because we are everything. And it's, as you said, it is what it is. Sorry, I didn't mean to go off on that. It's like
No, that's fine. I think that's great. There's a
it's
lot to,
massive download, yes. And that's how we do it now.
yeah.
Um, Remember in the movie The Matrix,
Yes.
when they plugged him in and like he knew how to do everything? Well, I mean, that was, we have to remember that movies and televisions have crystals in them, and they can be programmed. And so that the crystalline, the Christ, the crystalline grid has always been speaking to us, through movies, and that's and especially for the galactic, as I call them, galactic ambassadors, right? The movies, they because they're catching all the codes, watching all those shows, whatever it might be that attracts them is part of their soul purpose. And it right now, I'm just watching, and I remember in the Matrix, I keep seeing, when they plugged him in, and he knew what he could go and do, martial arts, or he can, he was, and that's exactly so fascinating to me, because I'm seeing it that once we finish our soul fragment work, look at my thing is moving around. That's kind of weird, huh? But when we finish our soul fragment work and we bring back all aspects of our soul that have been fragmented and trapped in other timelines to this now, all that knowledge that we had in those timelines, whether they were Atlantean, Lemurian, Hyperborean, Polarian, or yada yada, boo boo, it comes back, and you all of a sudden have this knowledge, and it's like, what is that? And it's just that part of it. I just the creation, because we're the creators, right? And understanding, as we begin to slowly understand quantum physics and quantum mechanics and the truth of how it really works, and the simplicity of it, you know it's just, I don't know. I guess everybody, I mean, I'm not saying I'm always in this place, but I am in this place of peace and joy and joyful service and understanding, so much more than I used to be, and I can only see for myself how my reality is shifting so quickly. And it's it's happening to all of us, and we're all like a stair step, and everybody's in the stair step place doing what they're doing. And once we begin to get it, it does. Once we surrender and do not attempt to be light or dark, but realize that we got to walk in gray, we got to see, both sides of the coin, because it's still a coin. It's just, it's really truly, our consciousness is expanding so fast, and we are about to reach singularity. And now we know what we can do to ensure that we don't have a reset, so we can remember and bring our knowledge, whatever it is that we might be good at, into the new earth and anchor that knowledge, that light into the new earth grids. And that's why I'm seeing grid workers being called all over the place. Everybody's on the move, just like we were back in 2012. And it's just fascinating to see the loop, and boom, 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 how it goes. It's just, it really is. So, anyways, that's it. We're done. Huh?
You're funny. No,
Stay
there's a lot.
working us. We're done.
There's a lot to unpack there.
Mm-hmm.
There's just a whole lot to unpack there. I mean, first of all, it doesn't seem like any of us have a choice. Number one,
Mm-hmm.
everybody's experiencing it in their own way. Some people might identify or even over-identify with a light worker, starseed persona, or identification. But still, and others, they tap into different things, or they're in a different neighborhood, but really is all the same neighborhood.
Yeah.
I've always felt like, we're probably all beating at the same vibration. It just doesn't look that
Mm-hmm.
way because we're still in the body and we're subjected to the human condition,
Yeah.
but part of what I see happening now is along the lines of what you're talking about. Like this has been going on a long time. Like
Mm-hmm.
for me, it was around the same time. Your was August of 2012. Mine was May of 2011,
Mm-hmm.
and it went through the end of 2012, and then it just exploded. Okay,
Yes.
and in the time from May of 2011 until God, I don't even know. Certainly through the end of 2012, so that year and a half.
Yeah.
I was doing a lot of writing and I was referring to what was happening, not being immersed. I mean, Soulogy in those days had like 300 people. You know what I mean? So, and most of them ended up quitting because they were opposed to a non-Christian belief or whatever the case was.
Mhm.
But my point is that I would describe those times as above biblical, or it was like biblical divine episodes,
Right.
things that were happening that were not of this world. And so as time went on, I think there were many people through platforms like Soulogy that started to come together and say, hey, this is happening to me and this is happening to me. And it may not be the exact same thing. For one person, it might be fairies and the elven, consciousnesses, the elementals, and others it might be more galactic, and others it might be the animal kingdom or even the trees or the plant kingdom.
Right.
So, and then it's kind of all evolved. And I think, you made a good point about December 21st, 2012, because
Mhm.
when we hit the solstice last year and we came out of it, my soul came in and told me, he said, you guys accomplished everything that you set out to do in that 12-year period. You don't realize it yet because it was in such a distorted atmosphere, but the seeds were planted and they're growing now. They're germinated, they're growing, and you're going to start to see a more and more immediate reciprocation of your efforts by the universal energy. Plus, you're going to reap those things that were sown in those 12 years. But now, as we get to the end of this year, this first year in this new atmosphere, what I'm starting to see is, and my work is leading me to, is to bring in some of these. Okay, so in other words, if you go to a disclosure platform or a conspiracy oriented platform, even if there's some metaphysics in it, even if there's some spirituality suggested or discussed, there I don't see platforms bringing in the soul in contrast with these subjects such as secret space program, such as underground bases, such as spiritual mind warfare. These
Mhm.
things that you hear about on the disclosure and conspiracy platforms. I don't see the discussion bringing into the fold the soul. Right? I don't
Right.
see that happening. I don't see enough, at least from my point of view, enough discussion about the grid work, about the fact that this is a electromagnetic environment or field, and that there is a relevance to people. And you're right. I'm proof. My partner's proof. I mean,
Mhm.
this relocating to different parts of the globe to hold down specific energy fields or portals or whatever at given times, and the importance of that in respect to those things that we feel would be a successful life, like to live with your partner happily ever after, or to have this job, or have this house, or this or that. These things that we were following, that were based on the conditioning and the programming, these things that we were
Yeah.
pursuing in terms of pursuing an aligned and successful life, they're taking a secondary role
Mm-hmm.
to the higher, you know
Absolutely.
what I mean, to the higher
Yes.
mechanics. And I think this is part of the soul network turning on. It's not some bullshit. It's a
No.
real thing. There, people have been doing this for years and years and years. And the other thing that's happening ever since COVID is, what I see is that because of the blatant agenda and the obviousness of what happened, even if it took people a while to realize it, just like 9/11, some people, well, it took 8, 9, 10 years for them to say, wait a minute, something's not right. Uh, More and more people are turning inward because they're not able to gain the fulfillment, a lasting fulfillment from externalizing their attention and their focus, and thereby, supporting their belief system. These belief systems, these things that are external, the governments, the religions, the stories, the narratives, even the old histories and all this stuff, they're not holding salt anymore. They're
No.
not carrying their
They
weight
don't
anymore.
resonate.
No.
There's no cognitive. It's all cognitive dissonance, and we with we now have experienced the only way out is in. There is you can't whatever whatever you are seeing, right? It's a holographic universe, and you don't manifest what you want. You manifest who you are. And when you find yourself in a location that is no longer aligned to your third dimensional energies of energy, frequency, and vibration, right? Then it's almost impossible to bear. And I remember, my experience was August 25th, 2011, because I had to be ready for the 11/11/11 portal as a grid worker. And I remember that back then, I think back to myself, and I've never disconnected that consciousness. Like I see me as I was back then. And there was so much programming still. And here we all really were. We were just trying to give some sort of human words to something that really was unexplainable. And we were just learning the new light language in a way. And I remember that we'd have I don't know if you remember this, but we'd have like a C3 solar flare, and we'd be sick for 3 days. We had ascension symptoms for 3 days, and they weren't even called ascension symptoms back then. And I just it's so fascinating to me what you're saying, because yeah, at this point, what I see is, for example, right, the government thing. That's fine for those that wish to give their energy to that, but that doesn't call to me. I hate to say it. It's almost like I'm bored. It's like when you play a game and once you win it. I used to love that game Zelda, and I used to play it, right. And then once I played and got done, I didn't want to go back and play it anymore. There was nothing new about it. And I think that that's exactly what we're seeing today. We have become a collective. We are a singular collective, and we are doing something that as we always are creating, right? Something new. I remember people used to say, well, what we're doing has never been done before. And I remember thinking, what are we doing, and what did we do? Like I didn't have any at all idea. And now I realize that, or as I understand it in my very limited understanding, because the more I know, the more I know nothing. Um, but it's we are we are as one collective, not like the Buddha, one soul at a time, right? Everybody has to elevate and release the toxicity around them, and all of that. But normally in the past, it's my understanding, and please correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm But it used to be that, a soul would arise and would go through the veil, and and they would realize the archonic trap and the light tunnel, and go, don't go into the light, go into the dark, yada yada. And then they would do it, right? And they would go on to whatever the next level was. But what how I understand it, very in my very limited ability, is that this time, the reason why it's been so hard and why there's been waivers, right? There's the first, second, and third waivers, but then there are the volunteers. If you go back and you catch little things about Dolores Cannon, she talked about there was a fourth group, the volunteers. Those were the ones that, are the ones with gray hair, right? The ones that came in here to begin to lay the path. It's like when you have a road and you're going to make a new road, you got to come in with the machinery and dig up the dirt, make the road, and then everything else, the concrete, blah blah, the lights. But we were the ones that the flame showers, or we were the ones that were plowing through it. But then, as we worked through our personal ascension, if you want to use that word, elevation, understanding, whatever, we are at the gateway, and that's why everybody feels it. Something big is coming, right? Oh, there's something happen. There's something finally. We can feel it. We don't need anybody to tell us. We understand it. We feel it. We don't. We no longer think it. We. There's a knowing, right? We're all going to go through as one consciousness, and so it's now an individual soul going through, right? We're all going to go together. That's the part that I understand has never happened before. And to me, that is like incredibly beautiful. And on the days, and I've been through a lot. And you don't even know, like, more stuff even. But on the days when I get lost in the darkness of my past, and I use this thought of, what? I am part of something so big that, I need to just put on my big girl panties and just keep going. Forgive myself, and just, keep going. And that's really, I may be alone in my path from a perspective of having, a beloved next to me or whatever. However that's going to work out, that's fine, right? I may be going through the hardships for myself, but I am like a small. Well, I'm one of infinite, and I'm a drop in the sea. I'm part of the wave, and it's somehow knowing that's the part I don't feel alone, because I know that there's all that, whether they're ascension symptoms or whether they are whether it's finding out a dark something, all the dark things that we know about, that we really, there's no need to discuss. It doesn't really matter, because I now keep telling myself my favorite saying, which is, Maria Julia, it's happening for you. This is happening for you to assist. And it kind of, I am love. Love is all there is. I am love, and there's it's so much easier to come back on heart center now. And that is our saving grace. That is the fact that, we can get angry, or we can get sad, or we can have all that programming emotion that makes us think that we're doing something wrong, but we really are not, because if it was created, it's divine, including rage and including whatever. And it doesn't really matter how it expresses itself, as long as we allow it to be what it is, and we allow it to be part of us, our authentic self. I'm Latina. I'll take a lot, but when I explode, oh baby, I explode. I mean, I burn it down, right? It took me a long time to not judge myself and think of myself as being bad, right? Because that was how I was programmed. And right now, that's exactly what I'm seeing in all the people around me. They're starting to realize, oh, wait, it may not be me. They're in that phase of, there's something way off here, and they're not, everything is happening for them as well. And of course, everybody's in a different step. Everybody is divinely perfect, and there's no judgment. As it, every soul is going to do what it was created to do, and that's the part that's the surrendering part of accepting this reality. Um, the third dimensional, linear time, and then the fourth dimensional space or spiritual warfare time. It doesn't really matter. They're still souls, and they're still everybody's is doing what they were created to do. And it's easy to surrender. For me, it has been easy to surrender the darkness almost, and to the light both. um, because I understand that in the grand scheme of things, I am just a water droplet in an endless ocean, and I'm just part of it. And I don't. It's it's really changing, and this consciousness, I believe, is the new consciousness. And this is why when singularity occurs, right? When we quantum leap to the new earth, whatever that might be, whoever it might express for each of us, we're going to carry on the memory of what was and what we did and what we learned. And it could be anything from, you learned how to cook, or you learned how to grow a garden, or you learned how to, how to clarify water, or you learned how to, how to be a healer, how to use the new energies, to help with our hands. It doesn't. That's what we're going. That's why we're there. We're just at the. It's kind of like we're all waiting in line to get a school bus just went by. We're all waiting in line to get in the school bus to take us home, because we are home. It's this all these, and this is home. And if you really truly look at creation, and I know you're at the beach, and you're surrounded by incredible, it's beauty, or at the mountains. All you need to do is go outside and see the beauty of mother, to know that it's so much bigger, and that there's a reason why we're still here. And once we start to understand quantum physics and quantum mechanics, and how to manifest our own reality, and how to quantum jump to our winner chicken dinner timeline, the one that we were born, right, to shine when our time comes. um, that's that's the thing. That's we're there. We just got to let it catch up as a collective. If we had been doing it by ourselves, we would have done it already. And many of us have lived in beautiful lives. I lived from August 25th, 2011 until 2016, when my world went upside down, backwards, and upside down. I was doing grid work in the Vatican, for 3 months, doing exorcisms. I was in Mexico City at the Basilica of Guadalupe, honoring my ancestors. I was in Costa Rica, clearing the mountain of the dead. We were all doing the grid work. We just didn't know. We didn't understand. We just were following our heart. And it was in that innocence, that we are, I think, coming into now. We have seen the dark creation, but also at the same time, we have seen the creation of the light, and understand that one without the other doesn't work. If we only had light, we wouldn't know we were in the light. If we only had dark, we wouldn't know that there's light. So our job, I feel now, is to just, I always tell everybody, you know what? Keep your head down, mind your business, and stay on target. Just
Well, I don't know.
stay.
I don't know how people would have any time to get out of their own lane in this energy. And look, you bring up a lot of good points. I mean, you speak to the evolution of the last 14 years.
Mhm,
Um, there's a lot of stuff coming into our consciousness now.
mhm,
You mentioned cognitive dissonance. I mean, I think it's become obvious now.
mhm.
that it's more about the cognitive dissonance we have about ourself
Mm,
than it is about what's outside of us or the cognitive dissonance other people have. It's more
mhm,
about the cognitive dissonance that we have of ourself, which includes all of our human experiences, and to include the ancestral lineage of our human lineage, as well as of our, you might say, our family lineage, or even our Earth human history lineage. But, as an example, I know from talking to people, and I'm not saying this is the gospel, but I'm saying I have a pretty good bead from my personal transmissions early on in regard to, for instance, like Lemuria and Atlantis.
mhm,
And I remember how everything changed in Lemuria, how an antagonist force came in, which really could be seen as a catalytic force as well. And then
mhm,
this whole dance started or into another phase, and then you've got Atlantis as well. Now Atlantis, I remember very much the same type of dynamic in that there was substantial technological growth, and the you might say the controllers, or what I call the powerless powers that be, or the lesser gods, those that become more ego oriented and
mhm,
think that they know what's best. Just like if you were to interview the 1%, any of the 1%, so to speak, they actually believe they're doing the right thing.
mhm,
They think they're doing what's best.
mhm,
So my point is that I remember in the Atlantean era, at least from my own experience, that there was a group that started to push back against the control structure, you might say. And
mhm,
obviously there was really good times, golden times and all that, but there was an evolution there, and it went, like an EKG. It went up and then it went down and then went up and then went down.
mhm,
So I kind of see like what's happening now similar to that, almost like picking up where that left off. And this time we're going to, take it to a more unified, integrative point. And I think that's what's happening. I think what's been happening, what you're describing, and what you personify in the individual journey. Because if you look at all, like for instance, on this platform, if you look at 4,000 shows of the people that come in and talk about their life, they're actually talking about the exact same thing you're talking about in their
mhm,
own way through their own experience, depending on when that was in the linear timeline or when that was in the evolutionary timeline for themselves. So now we've kind of come to a head, and I think this is a very, very pivotal time that we're in. And that is this corridor going into the solstice, and we got this three-eye atlas thing, which is,
oh
I look,
yeah, let's talk
you know,
about
well,
that.
I look at it like a metaphor, like everything, everything's speaking to us. And now you have this,
The third eye.
it, well, it's this one thing,
Oh, my
it's
hair
one
started
thing,
standing up.
it's one thing for an individual to have, let's just say, divine episodes or something that comes into their consciousness that's a
Mhm,
little bit, not a little bit, but that's absolutely like, otherworldly, or, something that just comes out of left field. This is
mhm.
happening to an entire planet. So
Right.
whether it's a CIA psyops or some kind of higher intelligence with nefarious intentions or benevolent intentions or whatever the case is, it's a symbol, and there's something to it. Now, if we look
Mhm.
at what you just said, the third eye connotation from the name of it, well, who named it? Okay. And did that come out of NASA? And are we going to believe anything that NASA shows us? Anything. Okay.
Right.
We all know that there are certain secret societies or whatever that you might call the Mossad, CIA, the Vatican, the whatever all that stuff is.
Right.
The whole point is that in engaging in, like you were saying, in disengaging and detaching your focus and attention to those things that are external, okay,
Mhm.
that are presented as a potential power over you or something greater than you. And that could be something that's presented as pure light, and that's something that could be presented as pure dark. Somebody
Mhm.
could say that I have my best interest for you, But the reality is, I guess that's what I'm saying. It's come full circle. You're right, and the cognitive dissonance of self. Those things, to me, the biggest downloads and transmissions that we have received, that we receive, and I'll speak for myself, that I've received, are those things that I've been able to come to terms with as a human being in my life experience. Those things that I experienced that weren't so comfortable, the suffering, the pain, the grief, and not and then once getting to a certain point, which I believe maybe for a lot of people it's happening this year, and maybe even for myself, and that is where you start to understand, just like you were talking about, you start to understand what is my energy and what is someone else's energy or something else's energy that I'm feeling. By the same token, you start to look at the things that we start to come into in terms of awareness on a personal level that have to do with the honesty that we have with ourselves and that internal dialogue where we start to take responsibility and ownership
Mhm.
and accountability for everything in our life, even if it looked like somebody was victimizing us. And then we start to understand that not only is the energy and the evolution that's predicated on, the whole journey is predicated on, isn't just based on my incarnation in this specific life,
That's
but
right.
past ones, and
Right.
also all of the ancestral lineage that I'm attached to.
Right.
So
Our
we,
DNA.
you know what I
Because
mean? So
DNA
we've
is
got, but
empty.
you know what I mean? So we've got
Yeah.
all of this concentrated physical dense matter that is carrying the code and the true history of the human, what I would call the human lineage, because you got a
Mhm.
soul lineage and you got a human lineage, and the human
Yes.
lineage seems to be, at least up to this time and space, the most extraordinary event that we've ever had. That involves a universal quantum connectivity, like you said, where everything is entangled to each other, everything is
Right.
felt from, to and from each other, and so we've reached this point now where given a backdrop or a landscape of greater and greater distortion, false flash frequencies, uh, institutional control mechanisms. I just tried to put your tag you on Facebook, and I got a message yesterday, and
Shut
they just
down.
they just they just gave me another one, and here's the thing: they're telling me I can only put 4 links or 4 tags a week up unless I get meta verified, which
Oh yeah.
they've been sending me these meta verification prompts for I don't even know how long, a year, and I turn them down. But now it's a situation where I will have to
Work to
become I
continue.
will
For the
I will
work to
have
continue.
well, I will have, but here's the thing. This is what I'm saying. This is a perfect example. This is the crossroads we're at, and we're at it every day in a new way. Now, let me explain. So the thing is we know that the meta verification is just one aspect of the whole the digital agenda, right?
Yes.
And so here's a situation where, and I'll just use me as an example. Here's a situation where it's important for me to put the links up. It's important for me to tag other people, right?
Mhm.
And the reason for that does have some type of apparent abundance connection. Okay. So, in other
Mhm.
words, if I put my links up, for example, people can say, oh, I want to give you a contribution. Now, I can't put it up anymore. So I have a choice to make. And I think that, and this is what I'm getting at, we're having these choices where we have to extricate ourselves from a deeper and deeper level to sustain and expand at a lighter density. How can we move out of the heavy physical density if we're constantly retapping back into it? Okay, so
Right.
it's a very interesting question, and I don't think it's easy for any of us to just say, "Oh, I'm going to flip a switch. I'm not going to get a digital ID, so I don't know what I'll do for money." Or I'm not saying that it can or can't be done. What I'm saying is it has always been inevitable to me that there is no driver's license, there is no passports, there's no borders, there's no taxes, there's no
Right.
copyrights, trademarks, any of that stuff, right?
Right.
And there's no ownership. So this is the leap that we're making. And to your
Mhm.
point, and in the spirit of your story, the human the enlightened human being in this evolution from unconscious to greater and greater consciousness of the multidimensionality, of the memories of the true history, and all that stuff. It's coming to a point now, for me, the way I see it, or all of us really, where we're going to make a choice. Are we
Yes.
going to continue to feed the monster? And it's
Right.
really not even those actions that does it. It's the mental uh, choice that we make at an energetic basis that is real, like judgment or whatever other emotions. Making a choice like that, making a choice like that when it doesn't feel right, when it doesn't align with your heart. So these are the hard answers, and this is why you start to see people that are living off grid, that are unplugging, that are growing their own food, that raising their own food, animals, whatever the case is, and being self-sustaining and things like that. So I think it's getting to a point where somebody came on the show the other day and says like you're boiling water, boiling soup, and the lid pops off because it
Right.
boils over. I feel
Yeah.
like, and that's nothing to be scared about, because again, these things are being presented to us. It's happened in the past. It happened in Atlantis. It happened in other
Mhm.
civilizations, and it's been driving us to a more pure and aligned universal choice. And I believe that's where we're getting now. But it's not. My thing is this: there's a lot of commentary and narrative in these communities that, and I agree. I agree, and but I also think there's another side to it. And what I'm saying is that we're there. We've
Right.
made it. And the
Mhm.
fact is, we made it before we ever stepped into this realm.
There you go.
Right?
That's
Okay. So,
exactly it. Yes.
but there is room for growth with what
Yeah.
we came into this realm with, based on how we navigate things. And now that we've had this, whatever it is, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh iteration, of man. Now
Mhm.
that we've reached this point, which has been prophesized, how much of that prophecy is psyops and propaganda to get in our heads to make us think that there's a savior coming, or this is happening,
Yeah.
or the great war is coming, or whatever the case is. How much of it is that, and how much of it is real? And like you said a while ago, and I don't remember how you put it, but basically that there's a universal thread that runs through everything
Hmm.
that can never be
It can't be
diminished.
broken.
And
Mhm.
that's what I'm saying. So
Yeah.
we know we have a net to fall into.
Right.
Okay, you might call it the mother's net, Ethra's net, but at the same
Sure.
time, we have a way, we have an opportunity to expand and that's what the soul does. That's what the soul lineage is. We
Mhm.
choose these lives to expand more and more and more and more to become a more and more prominent, pure creator. And
Right.
so, and for this to be happening in a very dense level in these physical human bodies is extraordinary. And
It
I
is
really,
extraordinary that we're
and
still and not only that, but the sun. I mean, let's talk about the sun for a minute. We're being radiated. Radiation, right? That's what's changing our DNA. That's what's clearing all the DNA interference, whether it's, whatever strand, whatever it is, whatever the soul has chosen. And another thing that I don't know if you've noticed that is massive going on right here, which is one of the signs that we are leaving the very limiting third dimensional consciousness, let's call it that plane, is the fact that one of the big signs is you lose a sense of time. And that's because that's a human concept, right? And we are all quantum entangled. That's why everything is happening, because all the souls that are here, however they died, right, they still carry that frequency because you exit and come in at the same level. But now we're all quantum entangled. So a million ways to die, like that movie. I never saw it, but I heard it was really funny. That's why we're seeing, oh, there's a war, and there's AI, and there's AI is that's Atlantis, that Atlantean web, and everything is quantum entangled, but it's for us to pick and align, I feel, into what our next experience is. For me, I want peace. Peace. I want peace. I'm 61 years old. I want peace, goodwill towards all. I'm open. I'm open. I know who I am. But it doesn't, but in my DNA somewhere, all that ancestral history I carry, some of my ancestors were burned at the stake, and some were, beheaded, and some, fell off a cliff. And so that's why there's so much fear right now, because really and truly, as the sun activates our DNA in this quantum field, right? Because everything is connected, right? And earth and earth and earth and earth, and it's all connected, up or down, sideways, it doesn't matter. Everything is happening all at once. It has always happened all at once, but it was in during stable times. This was shifting one from an age to another, and it's been written. It's been prophesized. We're going to Homo Illuminatus or whatever. Illuminated human, which is the Aquarian age. And I think that right now we are. That's why, to me, I don't really get engaged in how I'm gonna die, or because I really want. I'm excited about how I'm gonna live. Now, I've crossed over like 5 times since 2011. So, it's like that. I'm not scared of that. I want to know how am I going to live, because this reality doesn't is no longer aligned to how I want to live. And I am source sovereign free. I'm a fractal, just, I'm part of the whole structure. And that's exactly what's happening to all of us. And everybody is, they're it's almost like we're fighting that DNA. We're fighting that history, because we're not bringing that history. It doesn't matter what happened to our ancestors. It doesn't matter, and what may happen, right? It's all connected. What really matters is what we want. And we are indeed, I'm so glad you used the word choice point, because that's exactly it. What do you want? What do I want? What do you want? I know I'm very limited in what I want, right? Because we haven't had this level of freedom before. Before, we were always a chapter and a story, and now we're the whole book. We're the library, right? We're all our DNA releasing all the history of what was, because where we're going, and the stargates, people think they're big. No, they get smaller and smaller, because you can't bring programming. You can't, it's the stories we tell. Whatever may have happened to us in this new reality we're going to, that's not going to happen again. And so we know that, energy, frequency, and vibration, our thoughts, our emotions, and our actions. And so it's the double slit experiment in quantum physics, right? I choose the earth peace. I choose, that's going to be my reality. That's really, and I know who I am, and I know I've done it, right? So now I just have to surrender and choose. And every day we make a choice. And my choice, like my choice is to reach out and help one person a day. That's it. It used to be maybe I reach more people. I notice, at one point now, my work doesn't go like it used to, but I reach one person a day. And it's that one-on-one. And that's exactly what we are all choosing in this unified new collective. We are choosing to be the best we can be, and we are choosing to help one person a day. And sometimes that person is us. Sometimes, we can only help ourselves, and sometimes we can help others. And sometimes, we try not to harm ourselves or others. And we're finding that gray line, that in between space, where that's where peace resides, right? Because we understand that as a collective, we want one thing. It doesn't matter what happened. It doesn't matter what era we come from. It doesn't matter DNA. None of it matters. We know that this is a beautiful creation, this Mother Earth. However it is, flat Earth, globe, oval, spaceship, who cares, right? We're no longer caught in the details. We're not in the minutiae. We're now able to see the whole picture, that we want peace. We want to resonate, and we want a world at the frequency of peace. And so we want emotional peace. We want to take, peaceful action, and we want to have peaceful thoughts. And that is the truth of this new third dimensional physical reality, because this is physicality, and it follows very specific rules. That's why we have the seven hermetic principles, and that's why everything's coming to light, is so that we can release it by what you look at disappears in the in the quantum field, right? Because you focus, and that's what we're doing. And before, we were one soul focusing on peace, but now we're a collective. It doesn't matter whether it's from, it doesn't matter, it's not about religion, it's not about any of those things. It's about peace. It's the frequency of peace. It's the octave. It's the next level up. And that's why, as difficult as it is, and this portal is going to be a woozy. I can. It's tiny. Like we're being squeezed, and anything that is not aligned to the earth, where we're going, it can't come, whether it's a person, place, or thing. It can't, right? If it's not going to be an aspect of the frequency of peace, to bring peace, to anchor in the next 2,000 years or whatever, it can come. And we've now, right? We are little itty bitty babies learning, right, in this incredible creation. And I know that the beauty of it is that I can feel in my heart that so many others feel like I. It doesn't matter if I tell you, oh, I'm an Arcturian Andromedan starseed. I remember where my soul was tripping the life fantastic before I volunteered to come here. Yes, I volunteered. I was pissed off at myself for a while on that one, but I did. I really wanted to come and be part of the show. The human in me sometimes forgets that, especially when I feel sadness and pain or whatever. But we're there. We just the hologram hasn't flipped yet. And so right now, all the new Earth grid workers are anchoring, right? Whether you're here in North America and your beloved is in Europe, right? You are creating a new ley line based only in love and truth. This isn't romance. This isn't a white picket fence, and less. This is anchoring consciousness, divine masculine, divine feminine. And we all know that, and that only starts within first. We must balance our divine masculine, divine feminine within. And as a matter of fact, our we have a galactic male and galactic female chakra. And when that comes together, it amplifies, right? And then not only are we intellectual, but we're also compassionate and emotion, left brain, right brain, because the hemispheres have unified. That's why so many people right now are having headaches. I had a horrible headache 2 days ago. I haven't had a headache since maybe 2014. That was like that kind of ascension symptom, because we're our even there's even our mind is settling at the frequency of peace. It doesn't matter, as we understand, whether we want to call it quantum jumping, quantum mechanics, we want to call it whatever we want to call it. We're starting to understand a little bit of this creation, and understanding that there is indeed a greater source, a prime creator, and that it seems like even though bad things happen, somehow at a higher level, that bad thing, right, turns into a beautiful, positive thing to assist others in this great awakening. Because we're going. It's a done deal. We've already done it. That's why we're here, because we've done it. We just now have to walk it out physically, because our hearts are connected, and I can feel it. I can feel, I feel compassion, even though sometimes I may be human, in the sense that I hear something, and it makes me cry, it makes me sad, right? That's a human in me. But I honor that too, because we're here to feel, right? We are here to experience, and we're here to see how the beautiful everything, whatever you want to call it, there's always a solution. We just have to have patience and get there. And we just have to understand that this is so much bigger than us. Really and truly, we are fractals. We are, like I say, a little drop in the ocean. But the ocean is only part of something bigger that also has earth and sky and all this stuff. So we're just expanding, and hence why we're eternal, right? We're spiritual beings having a physical experience. That's the awakening, is realizing the truth of who we are. We're so much more than this beautiful avatar. And everybody has a beautiful avatar, and every soul is sovereign. Every soul, we're not trapped here. We just thought we were, right? But now we know we're not, because we're connected. Our umbilical is, we know who we are. And mother's energies are coming up off the earth. That's why everybody's having all these new ascension symptoms. And father's coming down. And so the energy is electromagnetic, right? Coming down, coming up from the earth, joining in our heart, activating our high heart chakra, which is the fourth dimensional heart chakra, and expanding that energy out our hands, just like a crucifixion, so we can heal with our hands, right? For those that choose to do that, for those that want to experience that. And because we're always healing. And because of that healing, it's that exact healing, that unconditional love healing, that energy, frequency, and vibration that makes us eternal. And so now we're just starting to understand a little bit of this realm, very little. And we are, we just holding on. We're all just waiting, for the bus to arrive and take us to our next destination, right? For singularity to occur. And we now know when singularity occurs, go into the dark or go into the light. That's the archonic trap. Okay, I get it. All right, there's nothing to fear. There's nothing to fear, but we are leaving fear behind. And eventually, we all move. We're like a caterpillar or one of those centipede. We're all connected. It's just some are at front and some are at the back, the last set of legs. But we're all going. No one's left behind, because we haven't really gone anywhere, and we haven't really separated. We just thought we separated, and now it's got to ride the waves, and they're going to get intense. There's going to be a lot of physical symptoms. I know we're coming up on time, but I wish the physical symptoms are real. We know this. They affect women differently than men. It affects DNA differently than men. Depends on where your blockage is. Depends on where the non-authentic story lies within us, right? And once we begin to release a story and we tell ourselves a new story, we now understand that, it's everything will be okay. Everything will be fine. And we are indeed moving on to the age of Aquarius. And it's interesting because today is the last day of Ophiuchus, the 13th astrological sign. And I laugh because before I had my awakening, if we always thought it was 12 astrological signs, but now we know there's 13, and it changes everything. Before my awakening, right? My birthday is June 3rd, adoption June 10th. So I was a Gemini. But now after Ophiuchus, well, I'm a Taurus. And, I'm laughing because you bet I'm a Taurus. I'm going to plow through, that was my authentic self. And everybody's starting to become their authentic self. And I love to see that. It doesn't matter how, because, it's a beautiful process. It's not, we've learned a lot, but we've also learned that we really don't. We haven't learned that much. We just are following our heart and shining our light. And that's all we can do. We can only do what we can do and be the best we can be. And I'm so grateful for you. Over the years, you have kept on moving forward, I hope that many give you the gratitude to and understand just how much you have assisted in being a way shower. And I'm not, we've known each other a long time, as far as, from the shows and stuff. And I know I'm old and yada yada, but
I'm older than you.
you are.
Yeah, I
I,
just turned. I'm Ocephalus. I just turned 64 on December the
oh,
9th.
oh, happy birthday, cumpleaños feliz. Um, I'm 61. I was born in 64, and I was laughing because those that are born in 1964 from the Chinese astrology are dragons. And I am a dragon. I've always loved dragons, Andromeda and Dracon, right? I've always been just fascinated by dragons. And it's just, the little things we learn about ourselves and the reasons why and why we picked what we are, it's just gonna it's just gonna get better. It's just right now the light is shining in the darkest of the dark. But the new grid workers are coming online, and the new Earth grid work is not like it was before. It's completely different because they're new grids. They're fifth dimensional grids, and every dimension has its own set of rules. The third dimension has the seven hermetic principles that govern it. The fourth dimension has the quantum field, right? What you look at disappears, focus, right? The fifth dimension, what are the rules of the fifth dimension? We're learning. And what about those souls that are above that level of consciousness? What's the sixth, seventh, eighth? It's just, there's so much left. So for, if anybody is hearing us speak and they have fear in their heart, or they think, that this beautiful creation is going to end. No, 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 no. There's nothing new under the sun. We're just in the final timeline. We're all quantum entangled so that every soul can make a choice at where it wants to continue. It's consciousness. It's expansion. We're expanding as a species, and where we're gonna end up or how we're gonna end up, I think that's a roulette wheel, right? When we don't know, we just know that in our hearts we know that it will be peace. It'll be peaceful. And that's what joins us all together. And I always laugh about Jesus, and I say, they call him the Prince of Peace or the King of Peace, right? The Christ consciousness, Christos, crystals, whatever you want to call it. But really, it's the frequency of peace. And that's what we want. And so many of us are so blessed, even seeing everything that is about to, and even more stuff is about to come out, as you and I both know, that hasn't been addressed yet. But we're at peace with it because we realize that it'll pass, that we're going to continue. We're spiritual beings, we're souls having a limited experience within a story and within time. But you have to have time, right, to be able to tell the story. All stories have a beginning, middle, and end. And we're at the end of one story, but we're also at the beginning of a new one. And every time that we get on a digital anyway, like you with all your Soulogy and you guys, how you just kept on, kept on, kept on. Me with all my writings, since I started and my little YouTube thing and all the things I do, right? We're anchoring that into the consciousness of this new reality. And there we, in many ways, will also continue. We're anchoring, really, we think we're doing it into a digital field, but we're really doing it into the light grids of this new creation. We're bringing everything. So every time you speak with somebody and they tell you a new thing, or you're like, oh, that's cool, right? That's being anchored into Mother Earth. That's how beautiful this process is. We just, we're children, we're babies. I think my soul, if you were to give it an age, I'm like 2.
No,
Maybe
I
3.
don't think your soul's two. I don't think our
Well,
souls are two. I think they're, but definitely
but that's how
in.
it feels like. I feel like I
Well,
just,
I think that's you're right. You're right
yeah,
about that. And
yeah,
I think
just,
what you're saying is that, which I agree with, is I think the most, how would you say this? The most powerful place, well, the most powerful way to start my day is to do some gratitude affirmations and then say, I know nothing. You know, and really, that's that's where it starts, because every day there's new code coming in,
oh,
and whatever, every day the truth is at a higher band of frequencies.
yes, a
So
higher
there's
octave.
things, there were things that were true that applied to the previous timeline, and and things are getting both more simplistic, but also from a human perspective, more comprehensive, or more uh,
Complicated.
yes, okay,
Yeah.
because the more we try to understand it and explain it and define it, and hold it, and and try to keep it stagnant for a minute so we can get a snapshot of it, the less we're going to understand it, and the less we're going to be able to sustain and expand on the higher vibrational timelines that we fluctuate upon and come back, and
Hmm.
fluctuate upon and come back. This has been an hour of power, man. You were like you were coming out today. You're on fire. Tell you
Hey
mentioned
man,
you
about
you mentioned YouTube, and I
yeah,
wonder if you could tell people where it's at, but also whether it's YouTube or any other links you have, if you could put them on the
sure.
Facebook Messenger and on the YouTube, and if you want to on X. But yeah,
Oh, I would love that.
could you tell us
Sure.
where to find you, and anything else you want to talk about in regard to what you're doing currently?
Uh, Currently, I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do when I grow up. I know that I'm supposed to be part of a beautiful community. I know that the new communities and the new earth communities are anchoring. When I had my spontaneous awakening all those years ago, I part of what I was shown was that I was going to be back part of a beautiful, earth connected, community. I had a tiny house company, but unfortunately it got stolen. And so I feel that in this new earth reality, I was just trying to anchor it in a wrong timeline, right? But now I feel in the new earth reality, I have these really interesting concepts about housing, and obviously we know that there's a lot of homeless, and so I feel like we're heading into communities, because I also feel that in a very funny way, be careful what you ask for. You can say that maybe we were trapped in this matrix, if you want to use that wording again, whatever. But now it like we don't taste good anymore, and it's trying to kick us out. Like it doesn't want us anymore. And so it's almost like we're going to be yet another breakaway civilization. I don't know how that will express itself, but that's how it always, the bifurcation of timelines, right? That's why at the crossroads that you spoke about is so fantastic. I'm so happy you said that, because that's we're picking a team. We're saying, okay, you know what, I love you guys, and I'll catch you around the other side, but I'm going this way because I want to be part of this, right? And so right now it's the bifurcation of timelines, because we have been all quantum entangled, right? There's one ascension timeline and 99 descension, and there's no judgment, because souls want to express what and experience what they want to experience. We learn by experience. If I tell you something and you don't understand it, you're not going to understand it if you have no ability or experience anywhere near it. And so we all learn by experiencing, and we went in the out breath of source as far as we could, and then we paused in 2012, like the breath, and now we're returning to source, and the ride is bumpy. And so as far as the how people can reach me, sorry, I kind of went off there. I took a left turn. And my call name is Light Lover 1964. I have Light Lover 19. If you Google and YouTube, I have a Light Lover 1964 YouTube. It's a little channel. I think I have 343 followers, but I love every single one of them. I don't know how many are bots, but that's okay. I love them too. And then Facebook, right, under Maria Bethencourt. I post things there on WordPress under Light Lover 1964. I have a WordPress site that I'm getting back into. I have had quite a bit of um, unsteadiness, a lot of homelessness kind of thing, living in my van kind of thing, blah 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 blah. And now I'm, coming back and anchoring in where I'm supposed to be. And so I'm starting all my social stuff again. I have a little X channel, Light Lover 1964, but I haven't been verified. So, I'm slowly kind of getting my feet back into this earth, because I like it here. This is a beautiful place. And, I know a lot of souls don't want to be here anymore. And, no judgment. but I do. I want to see what's the next book. I want to see how it's all going to play out. I'm curious, and I feel life and alive again. And it's been quite a long time since I felt that way. So anybody can reach me. I just, I have a degree in psychology. I graduated from a very top school in Texas, and at the age of 20, was already doing counseling, child protective services, adoption counseling, and mentally challenged counseling. And so I have over 40 years of counseling, and I've turned that kind of into spiritual counseling, even though technically I'm not certified as a spiritual counselor, but you know, but my hobby is quantum physics and quantum mechanics. That's what downloaded for me on August 25th, 2011. And I study and study. I love to study. I love to learn new things. And I love to, whatever people need, however they need. For me, I feel like I can help one person a day. So I'm getting my feet wet. I'm getting my little toe back in the pond, and I'm coming out of my cave, because I've been in the back of the cave for a while, studying shadows. And now that, I really feel, and, I feel, once again, I'm starting to feel like me, right? I have balanced the dark within, and I have balanced the light within. And now I just feel like me. And I know that everything else will just unfold. So, Light Lover 1964.
All right. Light Lover 1964, Maria Bethencourt on
Yeah.
Facebook. And that's Light Lover 1964 X in YouTube, WordPress.
And my email is lightlover1964 at Gmail, or lightlover1964 at AOL. I mean, you can find me.
Okay.
And
Well,
I'm ready. I'm ready to assist. I'm ready to whatever. I don't even know. I've had some incredible, beautiful people in my life this past year. Some incredible shamans. I've had some beautiful new friends that have trusted me and have loved me and have been part of my quantum physics and quantum mechanics and counseling thing. And I just, at this point, really, I'm just a clear channel. That's my goal. And I do want to tell you, I have close to, it's my dirty little secret. I have like close to 200 decks of like oracle cards, tarot cards, and divinity cards. I don't read cards, but they talk to me, and I hear them, and then I use them to pass on codes. And that's something that I really want to begin to expand on, and because it's so much fun for me. And the artistry work on, they really are truly are works of art. So that's my dirty secret.
sounds good to me.
Yeah, it's
All
fun.
right. Well, I just want to thank you, of
Thank
course, and
you.
then wish you blessings of peace, grace, and love for
Yes.
you, whoever your loved ones are interacting with you every day,
Yes.
and also your initiatives. So I wish you the very best, and I will
Yes.
see you again. I'm sure, and
Yes.
at a minimum, I'll see you on this side, the other side, or both sides. You take care, and thank
That's
you,
wonderful.
everybody.
Take care.
We got a couple more shows today,
Yes.
and thank you,
Support.
yeah,
Support.
thank you, everybody. Y'all take
Thank
care.
you.
Okay, thank you, Maria.